We deliver the news to your door. Breaking news, top headlines, the big story, the latest update, and all you need to know are only available on the African Actions Network, 2A Radio and TV. The only independent and balanced online news network. Broadcasting from America to the world. We inform, communicate, educate, and
Good morning, good afternoon, and hello, everybody. This is the African Actions Network. We are here this morning with Inside Liberia. Inside Liberia, we look at the issues that are unfolding in that part of the world. This morning, we want to look at Liberia, the role of the church when it comes to the elections. And we want to look at the future of Liberia. How is Liberia expected to be after this coming October elections? After October, how will Liberia be like? To discuss these issues, we have two permanent persons, and the third person will be Samian Abu, but he's not here yet. We hope that he will join us anytime in the middle of the discussion. Pastor Samson and Moses, welcome. Let's start with you, Pastor Samson. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me again.
Okay, thank you so much. Moses?
Yeah, thank you, James. It's always a pleasure to be in your studio. And let me say good morning to your many listeners out there.
Okay, that's very good of you both. Pastor Samson, let's start with you. We want to look at Liberia. Generally, give us your opening comments. What are you hearing from Liberia? What are your observations about things in Liberia?
Well, I had an opportunity to be in Liberia last year for a month, approximately 5 weeks, and been away from the nation for almost 8 years. It was exciting to be home. I have family back home, and so it was exciting to be home to see family and friends. And everything is now rosy. I didn't expect it to be. The world is changing greatly. The dynamics are changing. The politics are changing. The spiritual climate and atmosphere is changing. And a lot of hopelessness is in the air. People are tired. People are depressed. But there are people who are thriving also. And so I think that Liberia is at a critical juncture at this particular point in time in history. And for me, I see an opportunity. I see an opportunity for the nation to rise up from the ashes of poverty, rise up from the ashes of hopelessness, and regain her place in the community of nations. So I'm optimistic.
Okay. Moses, Liberia, the body politics, elections, and everything is ongoing. What are you hearing? What are your observations about that country, our country, Liberia?
James, excellent question, but let me just use a little bit of your time. For someone viewing, getting to meet me the first time, they may want to know who is he. Yeah,
Okay.
Right. I'm a career broadcast journalist. Before I resettled in the United States years ago, I worked at the Liberia Broadcasting System, and I was editor-in-chief of the News and Public Affairs Department.
Okay.
I'm a graduate of the University of Liberia, and I have bachelor's in mass communication in the United States. I work at a master's level as a social worker, and the immediate past president, which simply referred to as President Emeritus of the Association of Liberian journalist in America, so I led Aja for 5 years. I was acting chairman when the organization was revived in 2014 after 10 years of dormancy. And then I served 2 terms, 2 years each. So that's a little bit about me. I live
Okay.
in Delaware.
Okay.
Okay. Now
Right.
let's dive into your question. I think your question is where's Liberia? Where's the future, right?
Right. How do
Uh,
you observe
how do
Liberia?
I
Yeah.
observe? How do
What
I
is going on
observe
in Liberia?
Liberia?
What are you hearing?
As someone who consistently follow happenings in Liberia, because as a podcaster, you need to know what is happening on the
Right.
ground.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who consistently track the politics, the lives of the people, like the pastor said, there's high degree of hopelessness into this Liberia. I know in a previous administration, life was more challenging, but I would say into this Liberia, the situation has exacerbated. It has exacerbated in all sector of life. The pastor was just there, I think, a year ago. Um, there's a complete breakdown when it comes to rule of law, and that is not debatable. The data is out there. The U.S. 2022 Human Rights Report also speak to that about the declining human rights record of Liberia. The U.S. State Department Human Rights Report, you know, laid the problem to the feet of the current administration that they are insiders of the administration that are on a continuous basis violating the rights of people with impunity. And in terms of health, the situation is terrible. Let me give you a grave example. A lady recently in Lofa County, she was sick. She went to the a public, hospital, the Telewayan Memorial Hospital, which is financed by the people of Liberia. That woman was made to leave because the doctor asked her to go and get medication, prescribed medication. She said she runs her little drugstore or pharmacy in Liberia. She went home, she got the drugs and came back, and the medical doctor who happened to be the administrator was upset about that. She was forcibly ejected.
What? Really?
Yes, yes. She was told we're going. Discharge her immediately. We're talking about health here. We're not talking about somebody taking a vehicle to a mechanic shop, somebody who is sick. And if you track happiness in the country, that woman's situation is just one of the many examples of how deplorable our healthcare system is. People go to hospitals, no drugs, no drugs. The
Mm-hmm.
doctor, the pastor can also attest to that. People work. There's dignity in labor.
Mm-hmm.
People work into this Liberia. They go for months, no pay. There's a group called the guys who do the janitorial work on the beaches and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They work for the Liberian government 17 months. According to them, the government arrangement with them was for 8 million Liberian dollars. Hypothetically, 50,000 US dollars, chicken change. And, people going for 17 months. They reduced that to 11 months. They paid them a portion of the money. They have not been paid for months. So I'm telling you, a breakdown insistent on a consistent basis. That's the Liberia that we have.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Mostly we will come to
yeah,
you, Pastor. I think we'll also give you a chance because then he started that. I thought that you guys were too familiar,
yeah.
but just give us a little bit of yourself, and then yeah, we can start with you on the next question.
Well, usually it's not my style to speak
Right.
of
I know.
myself or assistant pastor at Overbrook Assemblies of God Church, and I live all my life in Liberia, working with the First Assembly of God Church on Buchanan Street. Uh, and I'm just honored to be a servant of God and serving the people and serving others and making an
Okay.
impact in the lives of others. This is all that I want to say. I graduated from the Assemblies of God Bible College, um, and that is where I want to stop. All of the glory goes to God, and Liberia is central to my heart,
Okay.
even though I'm in the diaspora, but my Liberia is central to my heart. That's what I want to stop with
Okay.
regards to
Okay. Mhm.
anything I want to say about myself.
Okay. So we are concerned about the religious community in Liberia, not just the church, the faith-based institutions in Liberia. Liberia's peace. We all can ask the church to be prepared to keep the peace of Liberia. Almost every official in Liberia either belong to a church or belong to the Muslim community or some kind of a religious institution. Um, Liberian day activities is something to worry about. Like Moses said, we all monitor Liberia. It's not easy on the people of Liberia. Now we're going to elections. Can the church or the religious community, in fact, what is the current unity among the faith-based institutions in Liberia, and how can they handle issues to keep Liberia at peace?
Well, it's going to take engagement with all of the political parties. It's going to take confrontation and expressing the importance of peace. We who have come from 14 years of civil crisis
Hmm.
and in the process of lost or almost 100,000 person to a senseless war, and now that and have prayed for peace, and God has heard us graciously and has given us a semblance of peace. It's very important that we maintain the level of peace that God has given us, and so the church play a very critical role in uh, maintaining this peace, because almost everyone that is in government is in some church.
Right,
And so it is important that the church be the forerunner
right,
and engaging their members first, and engaging the political parties and other social groups, expressing the importance of maintaining the peace in Liberia, because we can do nothing else without peace in Liberia.
right,
And the peace in Liberia right now is fragile,
right,
and we have to keep it. So, if we are going to maintain this peace, we have to stress the importance of of you know maintaining you know the we have to stress the importance of engaging one another and
hmm,
coming to a common point of understanding, where the primary objective of the country is the well-being of its people, because people are desperate right now in Liberia. People are very desperate. People are hopeless. You know, there is no clue. There is no sense of leadership in our country. So there's no clear sense of leadership of who to follow, what to do. It is so saddening that in Liberia, everybody expects the government to lead. It's the, in this, especially the global world we're in now. If there's no clear sense of leadership, there is no clue of what to do or where to go. And so the church role is to help our people, you know, engage our
right,
government to lay out a clear track, a clear objective of where the nation is going, and how we can get our people to follow, that clear path that the government is setting, to bring hope and peace and stability, and to improve the livelihood of the people. Because right now, you know, yeah, I went to Liberia. One thing that is striking is that Liberia is a nation of a very youthful generation,
right,
but the youthful generation has grown so pale. I mean, there's no zeal, there's no zest, you know, no sense of pride in the nation where people want to take initiative and improve their own lives or even the lives of others. Everyone is desperate right now, and they will
Mm-hmm.
do anything, even if it costs, even if it will mean to take something from
Right.
somebody forcibly, or even engage in reckless behavior to maintain the status of living. And that's very dangerous for our politics and for the
Sure.
peace that we already have.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, I'll come back to you. Moses, can
Yeah.
use the phrase Liberia's troubled waters. And we talking about
Yeah.
elections this year, 2023 elections in Liberia. There's a lot going on right now. You know, how do you think the political parties are prepared? In fact, are the political parties prepared for elections? We are in April. April is about the end.
Yeah.
May, from May to October is, I mean, it's just like a twinkling of an eye. So, with all of the maneuvering, just recently we heard Prince Johnson, and that also add to the dynamics, or I don't know what is the confusion or whatever it is like. Joseph Boga is yet to decide, and the CPP or the Cummings, the major political parties are not moving the way they should be. By this time, Liberians should have been, having major discussions as to how the country, the political parties that are, people should have an idea as to who is likely to be the next leader based on the formula or the factors that are interplaying. What is your take? What do you think? Are there
Excellent.
serious political parties in Liberia? Firstly. Secondly, do we have political leaders understanding that election is a major component of democracy that should help to keep the peace? Now, if that is not happening, the people in Liberia, are they not confused, more confused as a result of these political leaders? I mean, just give us your take.
Look, two things I would like to speak to the issue of political parties, the election, and
Mm,
I would like to delve a little bit into what Pastor Simpson said regarding the role of the church or the religious community. It's very,
right.
very critical. If we're going to have a stable Liberia, we're going to have a better future for our country, then the role of the church, the role of the religious community in that direction in sustaining the peace,
Agree.
is very, very critical. But before I delve into that, let me answer your question whether we have serious political leaders. Uh, are they prepared for the elections? I would say yes. We have
Mm,
serious political leaders in that country. We in terms of preparation, I would say they need to do a little bit of work on that because
okay.
what I see happening, James, is that we have a fractured opposition political institution in our country.
Mm,
All the politicians are, you know, uh, primarily focused on personal ego than the
mhm,
good of the country. And let's be human here. Uh, if you want to unseat an incumbent that controls the resources of the country,
mhm,
that has significant power, that has the ability to move people here and there. You cannot do that when you are not united as a camp.
right.
We saw in 2020 when the opposition came together, you saw the victory that evolved out of that. They won majority of the May 10 legislative seats. So the way forward, you have Unity Party, you have ANC, you have Liberal Party, and I'm told that we got over 20 political parties in that country.
Mm,
Some of these parties are not serious political parties. They are individuals who are only interested in appointments in government.
okay.
But if you're going to go against George Weah, who is well entrenched, who
Mhm,
controls the resources of the country, then it makes it imperative. This is where the future of the country becomes the foremost objective. What do we do? And everybody knows, like Pastor summarized for us, the level of hopelessness. Liberia, to this Liberia is faced with a leadership deficit. The pastor spoke to that. You go to Liberia, it appears like no one is in control. And when you have a society that is on autopilot, that society is heading for a bigger trouble. When you get in your vehicle and put it on autopilot,
I know.
you run the risk of what? Killing thousands of people. Because when you doze off, everybody ahead of you will end up dying. You will end up killing yourself. And that's the situation that we have. We have a leadership deficit. We have a leadership that is disinterested that has no interest in the well-being of the people, pay little or no attention to education, rule of law, everybody, corruption uncontrollable. So now how do we get this together? We need to consolidate. And that is not a campaign against Mr. Weir, but for a better Liberia, it is imperative that there be a political change in our country because the country is on autopilot. Liberia is in peril. The country is sick.
But I
The
think
pastors,
the country is sick in your own words, but
yeah,
the current government has kept the peace, and they have. I mean,
no, I will not give
the society exists, right?
James.
Uh-huh.
James, the current administration has not kept the peace. Go back to the Human Rights Report. The U.S. Human Rights Report said insiders of the administration, agents of the administration, taking human lives with impunity. How do you
I mean,
keep the peace?
we are front on that,
Yeah.
but I mean,
How do you keep the peace
mhm.
when you have no rule? When you don't enforce the laws of the country? Have you seen a pastor? You were there. How is the traffic? What controls that? Do you have police officers in control? Few days ago, James, not to go off tangent, few days ago, I saw a video. It broke my heart. The guys they refer to are pimping boys or the motorcyclist. A young girl, a little over 15. I don't know the crime she committed. The guys went after her. They broke into someone's, she ran to someone's private homes. They went into that home. They forced her out of the home. And she was physically assaulted by people from all over.
Wow.
Severely beating. When you have a country where people become law unto themselves, that country is headed for crisis.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think
These
Liberia
are
is
things
at
that,
the point where we compared our democracy to other nations.
okay.
But I think that the present government, even though they have not done everything rightly, I think they have kept the peace and the security in our country. There's a breakdown of institution. We need better coordination, and we need better implementations of the rules and the ethics that will affect the lives of the people. But at least we can give them, with the help of God, we can give them this, that Liberia is not we are not in an armed crisis, and where we, especially I lived all my life through the war, and I think there's a similar of peace in the country for which we must applaud the government for keeping that, that tranquility and the stability. With regards to the improvement of lives in Liberia, is going to take time. When you have all of the social structure and the and broken down after 14 years, listen, it's going to take time for us to come back to pre-war status, quote unquote. We find crises are everywhere in the world, even in the United States. At least we don't have a situation in Liberia where you have people with guns shooting people in the street every single day. And also, we have a similar of peace in Liberia, and we are grateful for that. Uh, can it be better? Yes. So things can be better in Liberia. It's going to take not just government, is going to take the will of the people. And there is one thing that we do not have. We do not have the will, to work, come alongside government, improve private sector, improve community. The government cannot do everything. They are the full runners. Yes, we do agree. But the citizenry themselves, the citizenry itself has a pivotal role in helping improving the lives of the people. Listen, I went to Liberia. One thing I saw in Liberia that has affected all over the nation is that Liberia, we are so uh, uh, content. We are lazy. We want the government to do everything for us, and this has been the status quo.
Well, Pastor Sampson, let me just come in there. There's Moses is emphasizing the point. I just try to balance the discussion, but the resources of the country is controlled by a government. A government is to ensure that government institutions are well headed by individuals who are supposed to work for the general good of Liberian people.
I agree.
Now, you must say we were born and grew up in Liberia. It pains my heart when I see Liberia today. I grew up in Mano River, Grand Kidman County. The only mining company that was in Grand Kidman County, my parents worked for that company. And their resources, conditions during those days, even in America, the life that I live in that place, I don't think I'm living it here. Maybe because my parents were doing almost everything and they were lucky to work with government established company. But if we ask ourselves, that place I'm talking about right now, if I were to show you photo, is a forest. The school that I went to today, if I speak to you about it, it's a forest. There's no road there. All of those structures that were over there. So besides the war, besides all of the things that are happening, it takes serious-minded people to build a nation. I was in South Africa when I listened to
investment attract development.
Pastor,
investment attract development. Okay. So if there are no investments,
right,
it's going to affect development in the country.
I agree. So that's what we're talking about. Well, let's hear from Moses.
James. James. I want to differ with Pastor on two things. He struck he used a very strong word, a very strong adjective. He referred to Liberians as being lazy. I disagree. Liberians are not lazy. What we have is we have a country that lacks opportunities.
Right.
James, the Liberian that you and I had lived in for years. We went to school, we graduated, we had the opportunity of being employed.
Right.
You have college graduates, masters, no job. And you say they're lazy? It is the responsibility of the government to create jobs. Private sector create jobs. As a government, what do? You attract investors. What is happening to this Liberia? You go right now and you say you want to set up a newspaper. You go to register. Someone's going to ask you, now, what did you bring for us? Why you think the United States government imposed a sanction on Nathaniel McGill and the others? McGill was accused of what? Extorting money from investors. And the pastor said the people are lazy. McGill was engaged in acts that had a propensity of undermining the peace and stability. The U.S. accusing of what? Engaging in acts that stifles Liberia's progress. And the pastor said, we have a semblance of peace. We don't want semblance. We want total peace. I want to be able to go to bed at night. I want my sister to go to bed at night and not wondering whether somebody is going to come and break into our house and take the little $5 that I sent her. You have a former Chief Justice Let me use a case, the most recent one. Former Chief Justice Gloria Mususka, one of the most prominent citizens of the country. She went to the authority 3 times. My safety is in danger. My home has been invaded twice. The government looked the other way. The third time, what happened? Her daughter was murdered. This lady is now being treated like a suspect.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the auditors? Those who work for the government, what happened to them? What did the president say? 2 of the auditors were on Broad Street. Can you imagine how condescending that comment was? They were having sex. And the pastor said, we have semblance. How does he define that? Emanating from the president.
I think Moses.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to play blind eyes to what the pastor said. Right, the pastor is looking at Liberia is not at war. You and I, we saw. I mean, we went through the bitter past. So I believe in the pastor's view. I know the pastor will comment for himself, but I believe his view. He's looking at even though with all of the difficult situations, there's still a Liberia.
Of course, there's still a level of peace.
I agree.
Yeah, so I think that's where he's coming from. But Pastor, maybe you can respond to him. I mean, he's
go ahead,
totally in
Pastor.
agreement with you.
Yeah. Listen, I understand from your point of view.
Yeah, Pastor.
From the point of view that I was speaking. You see, complacency. I do agree that the government sits over the resources of this country, and the government plays a major role in being the forerunner in setting a clear pace of where the nation is supposed to go. I do agree. But every Liberian, listen, I will not speak on the issue of the former Justice Minister Gloria Scott, because there are a lot of things surrounding that situation. We got to wait until the facts come out. All right. So I don't want to indict the government. I mean, America, I don't want to indict the government. All right. We're still investigating the January 6th situation in America. And so until we get all of the facts, if somebody's going to sit over the truth and cover the truth, then the facts are not going to be known.
Pastor, January 6th in America, they have some people behind bars right now. So they have not arrested one single soul yet.
No, but listen, when we have targeted politics, we incriminate other people for the good of the other people, for the good of the other side. So that's why I'm going to start.
Okay.
How do you explain that, Pastor?
That's bringing politics. But I mean, it was vivid, Pastor. We don't want to go in deep in that. We don't have much time.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
But Liberia is at a crucial juncture right now.
Right.
Crucial, and our peace is fragile, and we have to work together. We have to come together. Like I said from the beginning, there's got to be engagement. We have to confront our leadership. We have to be very intentional about where we want, about the future of the country. Because if we are not intentional about it, if we are not engaging one another, and we're not going to sit from the outside and talk out of the politics, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. There are good things happening in Liberia, and there are bad things happening in Liberia.
Absolutely.
And so the bad is at a higher percentage, but the more we engage, the more we talk, the more we hold people accountable, the more we become unresolved, uncompromising in what we put out there to see that it becomes a reality, the more we are going to append what is the good that is happening in Liberia. Now, when I said that Liberians are lazy, I said it within this context. You see, listen, the Liberia that we know we call normal days Liberia, many of us were children. And the very things that are happening in government today were happening in those days. When the American Liberians were leading the country, they were running the country from their own private homes. And all of the bulk of the money were coming to them, and they were paying people from out of their pockets. And so, so Liberia
But
has not been a.
there were investments. There
That's
were investments.
unsubstantiated.
Listen,
Pastor is making assumptions. So let me speak
No,
to
no, no.
Ed.
Moses, you have
but
to
this,
understand
Yeah, yeah.
the pastor is a peaceful man, right? You're not like
Yeah, but
listen,
inspiring
as a pastor,
listen.
political
yeah.
journalists like you. So
James,
If we are
let
going
me
to
say
preach a
something.
polity that's going to divide our
Pastor,
people, that's going to bring our
Pastor,
people into the street to riot, and that will destroy the lives of our people,
that
I
is not
cannot
what
preach
I'm
that
saying.
politics. I believe there is
Pastor.
hope for our country,
yeah,
and we have to keep the price. Listen, we are in America today, but let's not forget that we have
James,
loved ones, we have friends that are in that country. If Liberia fall by the wayside right now, I mean, and degenerate into crisis, we are the same people who are going to be running to Washington to be appealing for interventions. And
right.
so we cannot be insensitive to what is unfolding in our country.
Okay, all right.
You know,
yeah,
are there
James.
challenges in Liberia? Yeah, there are great challenges in Liberia. Life is hard. Life is hard. Everywhere around the world. I'm telling you, Liberia is in a better shape. I watch CNN, and I've seen countries where the children eat mud for food. We have not gotten to that place in Liberia. There are
We'll not get
challenges.
there.
We ought to be grateful for where we are, and believe and do the right thing. Now, you see, there are laws in government that have been enacted but have not been implemented. And so there is breakdown of institutions. And we need to hold people accountable.
Right.
And but we got too many friends in government that we're not holding accountable. Why? Because of
Then
our
if
own
if you
personal interest, and we
yeah, but
cannot
if you
run the
take
country in
friends,
that way.
Pastor, if you take friends and then you don't want to because government now friendship club,
Yeah, I
right?
agree.
So
That's why
yeah,
that's the problem we have today,
okay.
because we do not want to prosecute.
Mhm.
Listen. Once we refuse to prosecute people and let people go with impunity,
Mhm.
you know, listen, there will be no justice itself will not be served. There'll be
Okay.
injustices in the
Okay.
So,
country. And
so
Okay.
this is
James,
what we see in the government today. There are listen, corruption is everywhere, but the
Mhm.
corruption in Liberia is high. It's over 100%. So how
Right.
do we deal with the issue of corruption in Liberia? It's going to take all of the parties, the church coming together, meeting with the political party, meeting with the government. We need to come together and address those issues, and we need to hold government accountable.
but
Okay. All
But
right.
the thing
That's good.
about
That's
Liberian
good.
is that we talk it and we do not follow up. So
That's
that's the
true.
problem we
That's
have.
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Moses, I know you want to
yeah,
go the
yeah.
pastor.
I just
No,
wanted to
that's no
clarify
personal
some
attack
things the
here, right?
pastor said. Yeah,
You are a firing political journalist. The pastor is just by his name, I mean his title, you will know he's a
yeah,
peaceful man, right?
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
okay, so I know you want to talk more about the issue, but
Yeah.
let's gradually go to elections. Let's talk
Okay.
about elections a bit. Yeah.
So James, please just
Yeah.
give me this opportunity. Let me answer the.
Okay.
Let me say something about the role of the church and
Mhm.
the religious community as a whole quickly.
Okay.
Uh, the pastor struck a very certain point that the church, the religious community, must help our political leaders to ensure that we have a peaceful and stable Liberia.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, that's not the kind of church leaders or Muslim leaders that we have in today's Liberia. Uh, the uh, what I know of is that our religious leaders are considered the conscience of society. They help us set the agenda. They support the process. They help to sustain, they educate, to do those right things. But the church in today's Liberia, take for
Some of the
example,
church, right?
some of the churches
Okay.
into this Liberia, right?
Mhm.
James, the LACC, the Liberal Council of Churches, came into existence in 1982.
All right.
That's when it was established,
Okay.
helping with the peace and all of that. Today, that institution is compromised. The
That's an allegation, right?
LACC, I mean, it's not an allegation.
What
It's
do you mean
not
when
an
you say
allegation.
compromise?
So
They
when I
take
say
bribes. They
compromise,
take.
they take bribes. They take bribes.
Look,
Most of the prominent church leaders into this Liberia are siding with this administration. I will give you a graphic example. Have you heard about Bishop Isaac Winker of the Dominion Church?
That someone will say that's an isolated case.
No, it's not an isolated case. He's one of the most prominent persons
I
in
know,
the country.
As a wizard has
And
been.
this is the guy who said in 2019, on the first day anniversary of the we administration, he prayed that God will rise up against anybody that will oppose the we administration. Pastor, you can do some research if you want to come.
No, I heard.
Yeah, I mean,
do you think a church leader should say that? Was he not using the Bible or the pulpit to bully the people? Is that what should be emanating from the church leader?
Well, I will ask from which context was he speaking? From which background was he speaking?
He was speaking at an anniversary marking the first year of at a Thanksgiving anniversary, a Thanksgiving service marking the first year ascendancy of the we administration.
Okay.
Don't you think it was preposterous for a church leader to say that I will pray for God to go against anybody that will stand up against the we administration? Mr.
What role does he play in the we administration?
No, Pastor, allow me, let me complete my thoughts. I'm talking about somebody going to your church. Pastor, if I came to your church, I said, pray for Aja. He said, Moses, you're doing a great job. But I would pray that if anybody comes to oppose you, God will go after that person. Will you not be dividing the organization?
I will.
Okay. That's why
I heard that he's a spiritual advisor to President Joshua, right?
Well, yes. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so you can see from what the background.
That's what I'm saying. The church is compromised. When Nathaniel McGill was sanctioned, did we not see church leaders offering prayer for him? The man who was accused of engaging in acts that had a propensity of undermining the peace and stability. Who did he turn to? The church. They offer prayers, making it appear like the Americans were against him. It took a foreign country to save our country. The same thing with the council, with the Muslim community. They championed the cause of some of the wrong things that are happening in the country. When religious leaders do this, then that defeats the purpose of religion.
Okay, so we might have a topic one day to discuss the church and society and religion in some way.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
Yeah, we should. We should.
But right now, let's look at the aspect of election. We don't have much time here.
Yeah,
and I know all of you guys are busy people. Let's look at the election. Currently, the biometric of voter registration is ongoing. There is, I think they have completed a few counties. And part of the counties
they're about to start second phase.
Right. Yeah. So all of these factors, in our view, the census came and there was no electoral district demarcation. That has been an issue, and that issue went before the Supreme Court. I'm not sure the Supreme Court has come down with a decision yet.
Right.
But let's generally look at elections. Is the election possible?
It's doable.
From what all you guys are saying. If it is possible, the biometric voter registry is ongoing. How do you guys see it?
So I would say it is doable.
Okay.
Honestly, for Canada, honestly, James, there are just too many challenges. The purpose of a census is to gather data that will help the legislature to demarcate constituencies. Right. As you and I speak right now, the outcome of the census remain pending. So people are going to go to election, not knowing which of the districts they represent. People may even have, because a district is supposed to be 20,000 people.
Right.
So if you have 50,000 people in one place and one man say representing that district, then it means that man is actually representing two districts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We did not even work on that. The Elections Commission remains underfunded. They're having problem with moving logistics. When they initiated the first voter registration process in the Broadville area, one of the registration sites, the workers show up, the workers were evicted. You know why? Because the commission did not pay for the facility. It may sound, minute, but it's critical. They're sending people in the field, election workers, that are not compensated. How do you move logistics from Monrovia to Lofa? In other places that you don't have electricity and all of that. So the commission is seriously challenged. The electoral laws are being violated. You go to Monrovia today, you see this video. You have the president pre-campaigning. Everywhere you turn in Monrovia, there are billboards. The commission says nothing. All of these things I'm talking about lay the foundation for a bigger problem. You can't do this.
We agree. So elections is scheduled for October this year.
Yes.
Biometric is ongoing. I don't remember right now the cutoff date. And after that, there must be political parties registration, meaning candidates.
Yeah.
Right now, that is not happening. I mean, it's the political parties themselves are not even thinking of the timetable. Because if we look at the major players, they are still, I'm sure they will all meet the deadline, hopefully. Because if they don't do that, I mean, they may not take part in the election or whatever will happen. They're not going to postpone, the timetable because of that. The Cummins, the Buckeye, the Yumley, right now we're hearing about the Coon and all of those things. Prince Johnson has now shifted gear. Prince Johnson is a fighter, despite all of the international issues, meaning his role in Liberian Civil War. But it's that Nimbayans, he's the king for Nimba. So when he speaks, the Nimbayans follow. Now it's like he's now in total disagreement with the Weir's administration and is pledging support to the Buckeye. But out of that, the Liberian people will have to make that decision. And talking about election is the people's power, the people's voice. Except maybe we think about the Liberians. If the Liberians are gullible because of all of it's like, you suffer them for 5 years. In the 6th year, you give them rice, you give them money, you give them everything, and then they go for it. And then when you get re-elected, then again they have to wait for another 6 years. But the election is a factor, and we do not know. There's a case before the Supreme Court. I don't want to bother you or something. I don't know whether you have an idea on.
That's
the political landscape in Liberia right now is fragile, and everything is concerning with regards to the timeline of the electoral process. This is where I said it has to be engagement. The political parties got to be proactive. If their rights, constitutional rights, are being infringed upon, they have to speak out. They have to engage government, and they have to let the international community know. With regards to the timetable, if the Supreme Court cannot come down on cannot address the issue of demarcation with regards to constituency, it's going to pose a serious problem in the election. But I think that the political parties, if they are willing to work together, opposition, if they are willing to work together, they can offset this just react government. But from my standpoint, from everything that I'm seeing right now, I think they are too divisive.
Right.
They are too divisive, and what it shows to us, especially to me, is that they are more individualistic. They are more individualistic than they have a country-centered approach or platform. It's everything about me. It's everything about me. It's everything about me. If you're going to go into the election like that, you're going to be defeated. All right. But we have a government, we have a system in Liberia where the executive branch manipulates everything. Everything. The judicial system is supposed to be separate, and come up with rulings, you know, they are not separate, they are in the pocket of the executive. So there is no balance of power. And so it's going to affect us if we do not, if the opposition political parties are not constructive in their engagement, if they are not proactive, if they are not engaging government, if they are not speaking out. Right now, tell me, what have you heard from the political parties, the opposition? We've heard nothing. Joe Baka cannot even come up with a running mate.
Right.
So, and he's one of the major contenders.
I think these people they are having discussion. They are having. I'm sure they're having a lot of consultation, and we don't know.
We are almost in May. If they're having discussion, we're almost in May. Sooner or later, we're going to be in August and September, 2 months to the election. Right. When will the discussion end for them to get out there and engage the public?
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point, Moses. Election is closer, and the timetable, the election commission, the political parties, these are all just stressful moments. Maybe the people are overwhelmed.
Yeah, the politicians are overwhelmed, or like Pastor said earlier, division is killing it. It's all about personal ego. I want to be this, but do you have the means? It's like someone waking up and say he wants to buy, you work at a Walmart, you earn $10 an hour, and you say you want to drive a Lexus, a 2023 Lexus, where your payment is going to be $800 a month. Can you afford that? It's not doable, right? And that's the kind of thing that's happening with our country. We got people who cannot even pull 30%, and they won't be president. This is where it makes a lot of sense for you to pull your resources together. Don't forget now, we all here can agree on that we're going against an incumbent. The man who has the resources, who has the power. And you're going as a divided group because of personal ego. I can tell you, if the guys don't get their acts together, it may be a wrong assumption. Of course, Mr. Weah may end up winning the presidency.
Well, if you were now, let me just throw this in just for a quick discussion. Time is fast spent. But if you were to make a decision, if you were to advise the Baka, the Cummins, the Yombly, what are some of the things you're going to tell them?
Cohesiveness. Come together. Put your resources together. Put Liberia first, like Pastor said. This is about nationalism. Our country is retrogressing in every aspect. We cannot sustain this for another 6 years. The country is retrogressing on a consistent basis, everything declining.
Let me ask you also, let me ask the second question. If you were to advise George Weah, at this period, the eve of elections, I'll call it the eve of election because this is the year, what will you tell him?
Let Pastor go ahead. Okay, I will encourage the president to create a level playing field and create an environment where people are able to exercise a political franchise, their political weights in their wills, so that there will be transparency. We know that in African politics, transparency is not a word that we use. For create an environment, an atmosphere where people are able to exercise their political power. And but one thing I see is that the opposition party they have limited resources. And this is something that has affected Liberian politics for many years. So listen, we have too many poor people who want to be president in Liberia. So we borrow so much money from outside.
Is there anything wrong with poor men wanting to be president?
No, but here is the thing. So you borrow money from outside to run for presidency. And when you become president, you use the country resources to pay those who...
But even the rich people do that. I mean, people come to... Like, for example, we all thought George Weah was a billionaire. And I don't even want to say millionaire.
So, but you see what is happening today. You see what is happening today. Our assumption, not knowing that the resources he used, now he has to pay back.
He has to pay back,
and he's paying it back against the. I mean, it's detrimental to Liberia's development.
Right.
And so, I'm not. My context is not that one of what rich people should run for
Okay.
power,
All right.
but at least you should have some basis, some baseline, so that when you go, look, listen, I was a strong member of Liberty Party, but the only time we saw Chad Burskin bring all of the pickups and things this election
Mm-hmm.
and for campaign after the election, where did they go? They go back to Sierra Leone, go back to Guinea.
Okay.
We don't see them anymore. So we have political parties bringing in resources,
Mm-hmm.
and if they don't win, those resources they are gone, and they are still indebted to those people who finance them. And
Okay.
so this is the reason why they are desperate to get to power, because they do not have the financial power to pay back. So it's just they come to Liberian people on the surface and they are preaching in the holistic politics, when in at the back of their mind, they know they have a real agenda that they want to achieve. And so this is the problem. Listen, if the political parties will not unite, there is no way they're going to offset this George Weah government. It's
I
not going to be
agree. I
possible.
agree. I agree. Moses, I was asking you, yeah, if you were to advise George Weah, what would you say? You advise the opposition, you say, you know what, cohesiveness, right?
Yeah.
What's about the Weah's administration? For Pastor Samson, he said, well, he would tell him, look, you know what, he had to create a level playing field. But I think on that note, Pastor Samson, I think there's a level playing field. Except that people are not actually utilizing the opportunity given them. I don't think there's political infringement coming from the government. Well, Moses, what you think? What would you tell
Well,
George Weah? To
look,
resign? To leave it?
if I were to meet Mr. Weir today as a friend, as a brother,
Mhm.
in life sometimes it's good to take a closer look at yourself. That's what we call self-evaluation.
Okay.
When you're applying for a job,
Mhm.
you look at what the job requirements are, qualification, and then you ask yourself, do I have any of these? The presidency comes with significant responsibilities.
I agree.
Someone will understand governance. Mr. Weir has demonstrated to us over the years that he's clueless when it comes to political governance.
The man has learned for 6 years. I
He
mean,
has not. He hasn't been able to demonstrate that. If he has learned, but now he would have taken, like Pastor said, holding people accountable. Have you heard Mr. Weir hold anyone accountable in his administration? They did not take the U.S. government to tell McGill in order to step aside because they were undermining the economy.
but
They
maybe
rised.
it
And the
goes over the
11
bad
million,
apples.
let me tell you, the 11 million dollar that they were using to support the importation of rice, what happened to that money? So to sum it up, Mr. Weir, the presidency is not for him. He lacks the acumen. He doesn't understand governance. I tell you, Mr. Weir, you have played your role. This is stressful for you. The most advisable thing to do not run. Because
I
you
don't
will
think
not
that.
help the country.
What
I
I
think
will argue against that.
Mhm.
I will argue against that greatly,
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
because
yes.
Mr. Sandy, you are well versed in journalism
Mm-hmm.
and in understanding the politics of Liberia. I think that when we look at the regime of Samuel Doe,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't get everything right. And, when he understood, when he got to a level of understanding of how our government should run, we saw a lot of wonderful things development that was coming to the country, and then before we got toppled upside down with the senseless crisis. I think there are some good things that Joe Weah is doing. There are some good things that he's doing. With everything is not bad. Yeah, he doesn't understand governance. He always had this. He has always been ambitious about serving his country and running for presidency. He did not take the time to educate himself, and and so he comes to government and listen. Leadership is not a play. It's not a children's play. It's no joke.
Mhm.
Imagine your own leadership in your home as a father. How tedious it becomes. So, and he talking about leading a country of almost 45%, almost 55% of illiterate people. And you got at least 15% in the government who are there for their own self-aggrandizement. Then you come, they're sitting over such challenges as a novice. So it becomes complicated. It becomes complicated. I believe that personally, I don't think anybody is going to upset Joshua in this election.
Say that
I
again.
don't think the government, the opposition, they are not ready.
Okay.
They are not ready at all. And if they cannot, I do believe.
Okay.
Is it possible that they can do? Yes, but there's a long way to go. There's a long way to go.
All right.
And until they get an act together, I don't think they stand any chance. But I believe that there is always room for growth. There's always room for improvement.
James,
How it's going to come about? It's going to take us. It's going to take all of the major players in this election. You know, the religious organization, the political organization. You know, the communities,
civil society, the
the
media,
civil societies. You know, we need to come together. Our foreign brothers who have interest in the election, we have to come together, and we have to discuss the issue that would affect this election
role. What we're doing right
positively.
now, people are listening, right? So
yeah,
I mean, you are right, Pastor. Everybody have to come together.
Yeah.
Moses,
so James, quickly.
The 1 hour gone. But before you address Pastor Samson, because Pastor Samson is just raising an issue, and I think
he raised an issue. I just wanted to say something quickly on that.
Okay, go ahead.
He made a comparison, you know, and it is good that Pastor, even himself indirectly, admitted that George Weah is not a good fit for the presidency. He said he's a novice, and we do not want a novice to be a president of our country. A novice is someone who just started, who has no clue. So it is good that Pastor admitted to what I said.
He said he was a novice.
Yeah.
I say he was a novice when it comes to governance.
And he's still remains a novice.
But he has learned. I believe he has learned.
Pastor, let me complete my thought. The comparison you made between Samuel Doe and George Weah, it just doesn't hold. The purpose of going to grad school, Mr. Weah has a master's. The purpose of a graduate degree is to prepare you for managerial position. Samuel Doe never had a master's degree. Mr. Weah does. But Samuel Doe was a better leader as opposed to Mr. Weah.
No, Samuel Doe had a master's degree. He went to university.
Pastor, let me complete my thoughts. When Samuel Doe took over the leadership of Liberia, he was a mere high school graduate. When Mr. Weah went in the Senate, he already had a master's degree. What did he proffer in the Senate? Nothing. No record. He'd been president for 6 years. You made a comparison, managing our respective home. You become a good dad when you can monitor, when you can supervise, when you can redirect. Do you see that happening in Liberia?
Okay,
it's Mr. Weah monitoring.
As I said,
is he redirecting?
You are putting out a lot of good argument for discussion.
Yeah.
But time is fast spent, and
so I just want to wrap it on that. Thank you.
Okay. So but before we close the show, just a quick question.
Yeah.
Yombly, Kun, Cummins, Boakai. If you were asked, each of you just in few words, if you were asked to find a pick at the best leader, what would you think? Boakai, Yombly, Cummins, and now we're hearing Kun. I'm bringing Kun because Prince John's pronouncement is a serious factor in this matter.
Well,
okay, let me speak then. He will end.
Go ahead, Pastor. No, go ahead, Pastor. Go ahead.
All right. On a very serious note, I'm going to be very objective and be very fair. I don't really know a lot of the Cummings about his politics, about his agenda. I don't know a lot about Yombly, and even I wouldn't elect Joseph Boakai to presidency in Liberia. We have not seen anything that he has constructively done. Personally, it's my personal view.
Okay,
It's my
I
personal
know.
view that he has
Mhm.
done in Liberia over the 40 years he served in government, and we still see he. I don't know what's the problem with everybody that represent Lofa County. You know, this is a serious problem. We have Harry Monima from Lofa County. We have Joseph Walker, who's been. We have a lot of good people from Lofa County, and they have not really done well in government. And so I wouldn't elect Joseph Walker from. We don't want to have another
Also, you bring in an argument
Yeah.
because Harris Monroe was one of the
Eh,
finest
eh,
person and
now
in
what?
government.
Listen. Now
yeah,
what I say.
look, Jane,
Listen.
I wanted
I
Listen.
know
Pastor
that
to
your view,
complete.
right?
That's
You
my
know,
personal view.
no, but
That's
Personal
my
view.
personal view.
no,
I know. Mr. Sandy is about
He
to
coming back on you, right?
upset my
yeah,
personal view, but personally, I wouldn't. I
Okay.
wouldn't.
yeah,
I think we need better candidates. But those three candidates, no,
yeah.
I don't think.
But it's
I
late.
don't think.
It's late at this time, Pastor. I
Yeah.
mean, we
What do
just
you
drag
think?
the argument on.
So
I
but I
get you
won't.
already because for you, you think Weir has transcended, so
No, no,
he
no.
can make
I
it to
wouldn't
the
even
leadership
vote. I wouldn't even. I didn't support Eli's. I mean, Weir's
in the
election.
first election.
I didn't support it because I think he was
Okay,
a bad fit for government for Liberia at the time.
Okay,
right
now
All
time.
do
right.
you support him now?
Joseph Boakai, he's going to be another. He's going to be if he's
Another,
elected, they're not going to use him for their own personal agenda.
right,
He's
right,
old.
right.
He's
Okay, so
sleeping all the
Moses,
time. So
let's
you
hear from
know,
you, and then we call this a day, and
Yeah,
then
look,
we get a closing comment or whatever.
one
Okay,
thing I like Pastor for he's fond of generalization. You know, you make these claims that are very difficult to defend. He said, I don't know what is happening with Lofa County. I mean, Pastor, you can't say that. And, you know, you're putting the people of Lofa down.
that's his personal view. You
Yeah,
can
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Look, as a
be
religious
in a
leader,
public
when
space,
you
right?
like someone, you know, like the pastor, his job is to consolidate the peace.
Right.
What do you think that the people in Lofa that watching this podcast will say about him now? Is he
oh
not
no,
being
no, no. Like I
condescending?
said, I'm
No,
not talking
Pastor.
about
Yeah,
generally Lofians.
no, you
I'm
said
saying that
Lofa.
there have been some
Yeah,
great
yeah,
people that have come
Pastor.
out of Lofa.
Pastor.
But when it comes to their politics,
Yeah,
it's not being helpful to the county
yeah,
itself.
Pastor. You made a statement that I don't know what is happening with Lofa County, but
Mhm.
all the years, Lofa County has not been able to produce any good leader. That's what your statement implied. You made reference to the late Moniba, now Joseph Boaka. And as per your definition, these people don't measure up to leadership. And I'm saying you're not being fair. Do you compare
Okay, I retract my statement,
yeah,
Mr. Sandy.
do you compare Omer Joseph Boaka with 40 years of leadership experience under his belt to a novice like George Weah?
But
Do
what
you
have we
make that
seen Joseph
comparison?
Walker done?
And you know,
I mean,
oh come on.
that would be an
Yeah.
argument.
So
That
that
was
would be
his
another
personal
discussion
view,
that we
and he
can
said
have.
he has
You know,
withdrawn his
yeah,
statement when
yeah,
it comes to
yeah,
Lofa County.
yeah,
So, probably Moses, we can.
yeah. So we
I mean,
can wrap it
I love
there.
the argument. I love the
Yeah,
discussion. The two of you
yeah.
are putting forth. I mean, a very strong discussion this morning, which
Mhm.
was very good to me. And
Yeah.
we probably can schedule something else
Sure.
that would either bring the two of you together. Maybe with. I mean, we didn't get something about this morning, but we hope that we can get in the next time. But we're gone 8 minutes above our time, and maybe we can take 2 minutes each just for a closing comment. Then we call this a day from what all you guys have said. We
Okay.
Well,
start with Moses. Yeah,
thank you,
Pastor.
Brother Jensen, for always having us. And I want to say a big thank you to my own senior brother, Moses, always having you
Thank you.
and listen. I always enjoy the time
Okay.
learning from your wisdom and the
Thank you.
experience that you have. You know, you
Thank you.
are a renowned journalist. You are one of Liberia's finest,
Thank
and
you.
this is not something that I take lightly, and to have to share this forum with you.
Okay.
But I just want to say to Liberians watching this broadcast, there's hope. All is not lost yet. If we will do the right thing, we will engage. We have to be more proactive. If you see something, say something. Speak out. Uh, Educate your children on the importance of governance, on the importance of standing out, so that when they grow up, they will have they will have the zest to get into government, make a change. And even if they do not become, they do not, they do not have the opportunity to serve in government, they can even serve in the private sector and make a difference. Let the change begin from the home. Let the change begin from the home. If you will stop reprimanding your children by being corrupt in the home, they will take that corruption to the church, and they will take it from the church to the society, the greater society. And this is what is affecting Liberia today. All of the people, 90% of the people who serve in the church, in the government, are from the church. And the pastors are not, they are not confronting them, they're not reprimanding them on that ugly behavior and that corrupt behaviors. And they're bringing the tithes and they're bringing the offerings, and we are enjoying it. As long as
that's another good argument, Pastor.
Yeah. Listen, we have to hold our people accountable, whether they like it or not. It is the place of the church. Listen, the prophet Jeremiah was thrown into a dry well because he confronted Jehoiakim, and everything he said about him came to pass. His eyes were plucked out and he was led into captivity. He confronted the ills and the divisiveness in Israel. And it is incumbent upon the leadership of the church. We are the first instrument that God uses to correct the nation. When God comes for a change to a nation, he doesn't go to George Weah. He comes to the church. The church is the voice of God to the nation. And so we have to begin to preach transparency, encourage our people to live a life that will impact society, and within society will impact the government. Until we do that, if the change doesn't come from the home, Liberia, we should not expect any change in the higher government, because it starts with the home.
Okay, thank you so much, Moses.
Yeah, great job. Pastor, I want to say thanks so much. It was a pleasure teaming up with you this morning, and I really like, and the key point you continuously emphasize, holding people accountable. And I would like for you to convey this to our religious community, that the purpose of the religious community is to serve as role model, teach us, guide us in doing those things that are acceptable in the sight of our Creator, treating our fellow human beings as human beings, but not objects. Providing for our people, feeding them when we have to. Let us be selfless. Pastor, please help us. Tell the LACC that this cannot be about personal ego. Tell the Muslim Council this cannot be about personal ego. It's about the good of our country. We need a peaceful and stable Liberia. And I would like to wrap it all by saying quickly that come October the 10th, which is a little over or less than 6 months, I can tell you that would be a defining moment for Liberia.
Yes.
Whether we thrive or not, we got to make that right decision. It got to be about the country. It should not be about Pastor Samson, Moses Sandy, James Jensen. What does Liberia stand to benefit? That should be the driving force behind October the 10th. When you enter that ballot, put Liberia first.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, guys, that was a brilliant closing comment from the both of you, and I want to say thank you so much for joining us this morning. It was a pleasure.
Sure.
And it was good. That's how I can
Thank
sum
you,
it
Pastor.
up.
It was a pleasure.
And I'll be willing next time if we call on you guys to be willing. I think I took some points from the two of you. We might schedule another stuff. There's even a personal issue that I think Pastor Samson can address, but we will find a time to have those discussions.
Sure.
Until then, have a pleasant and wonderful day.
We deliver the news to your door. Breaking news, top headlines, the big story, the latest update, and all you need to know are only available on the African Actions Network, 2A Radio and